Today we're covering the 10 underrated Harleys about to explode in value, ranked by appreciation potential. We found a bone stock XR 1200 with 420 miles that sold for $15,000. A 2003 V-Rod that's worth more than it cost new. And the number one bike, already climbing 50% above book value. Stick around unless you want to miss the buying opportunity of the decade. Harley-Davidson doesn't want you buying used bikes. Obviously, but here's what's really interesting. There are specific models they really don't want you discovering on the used market, because these bikes prove something the motor company has spent decades trying to hide. The best handling Harley ever made? Not in current production. The most powerful? Discontinued? The most innovative? Killed it. The closest thing to a sport bike? Gone. So let's count down the 10 models about to get very expensive, starting with number 10. Number 10, 2021 plus Pan America, $1,250. Current value? First-year models are holding surprisingly well in the used market, ranging from $13,000 to $16,000. That might not sound like massive appreciation, but here's why this bike matters for long-term collectability. The Pan America represents Harley's first serious adventure bike, not a cruiser with knobbly tires. A legitimate ADV bike designed to compete with BMW, KTM, and Triumph. This is a massive departure from everything they've ever built. When Harley unveiled the Pan America in early 2021, the traditional buyer base revolted. An adventure bike with a liquid-cooled engine, chain drive instead of belt, luggage mounts and crash bars? That's not a real Harley, they said. The forums lit up with complaints. Dealers reported angry phone calls from longtime customers, threatening to never buy another Harley product. This was heresy. Meanwhile, the adventure riding community was genuinely shocked, not because Harley built an ADV bike, but because it didn't suck. The adaptive suspension actually works as advertised. The Revolution Max engine makes real power across the power band. It handles like a proper adventure bike, not like a chrome-laden pig trying to pretend it's a BMW GS. Motorcycle journalists who expected to mock it found themselves grudgingly impressed. Number 9, 20th, 3rd, 100th anniversary models. Anniversary editions always appreciate eventually. That's motorcycle collecting 101. But timing matters, and right now these 2003 models sit in a sweet spot. Old enough to be collectible, affordable enough to buy, rare enough to matter. Current market shows these bikes running from $8,500 to $12,000 depending on model and condition. That seems reasonable until you realize how few qualify and how many have been destroyed or modified beyond recognition. Not every 2030 Harley gets to claim anniversary status. We're talking about specific VIN ranges with unique anniversary badging, special paint schemes that were never offered on regular production models, and documentation that proves factory anniversary specification. The Heritage Softail and Springer versions are particularly desirable among collectors. We found a 100th anniversary Springer currently listed at $9,777, which seems perfectly reasonable until you start looking for another one in similar condition. The market hasn't fully recognized this scarcity yet. The right bike in exceptional condition could easily double in value by 20 to 30, hitting the $15,000 to $25,000 range for museum quality examples. Anniversary editions always appreciate eventually. It's just a question of timing and patience. And right now, while most collectors chase 1950s panheads and 1930s knuckleheads at six-figure prices, these more recent anniversary models remain accessible. That window won't stay open forever. Number 8, Buell XB series, 2002 to 2010. This is the ultimate sleeper pick on this entire list. Current market values? $2,500 to $5,900. Yes, you can buy a Buell XB for less than a decent used Honda Grom, which seems absolutely insane when you consider what you're actually getting. Eric Buell's engineering masterpiece featuring fuel and frame design, oil and swing arm, exotic made-in-Italy frame construction, and the legitimacy of Harley-Davidson ownership backing the entire operation. Here's the calculated gamble. Parts availability is becoming a serious problem. Eric Buell Racing went bankrupt. The original Buell Motorcycle Company was shut down by Harley in 2009. Parts are drying up, which in most markets would tank values. But in the collector market, Scarcity of parts typically drives values up, not down. These bikes are becoming unobtainium, and that creates exactly the conditions collectors need for massive appreciation. Think of these as the motorcycle equivalent of the Pontiac Fiero. Weird engineering that was ahead of its time, extremely brief production run, initially unloved and misunderstood by the market, destined to become collectible once the weirdness factor transforms from liability to asset. In 15 to 20 years, when Buell is completely defunct and parts are available only at salvage yards or through specialty aftermarket suppliers, a clean XB 12R Firebolt in a rare color could legitimately hit $20,000 or more. Number 7, 2008 to 2010X R1200. Currently priced at $43,555 to $11,597, averaging around $7,600. But here's what's interesting. A 420-mile example just sold at Bring a Trailer for $15,000. That's double the average. The market is starting to wake up. The XR 1200 was Harley's sport bike experiment, and they'll never do this again. Cafe racer styling before it was trendy, flat track inspiration, European sensibility. It confused American buyers who wanted cruisers, so production ended after just 4 years. Hemmings recently featured it as a future collectible, which means the smart money is already circling. This was Harley trying to compete with Triumph's Bonneville and Ducati's Sport Classic. Wrong bike, wrong time, wrong market. Harley dealers didn't know how to sell a sport bike to cruiser customers. But in 2025, everyone wants a retro-styled standard with character. This has it, and there aren't many left with low miles. Look for examples under 5,000 miles. The X model is even better if you can find one. By 2030, clean XR 1200s will command $12,000 to $18,000. The window is closing. Number 6, Softail Springer, 1988 to 2006. Current market shows $64,885 to $13,095. But clean examples are already pushing over 10 grand. The Springer represents something crucial: accessible vintage. You get that distinctive Springer front end, pure 1940s nostalgia, without the headaches of maintaining an actual vintage motorcycle. Production ended in 2006, nearly 20 years ago. The Springer front end seemed gimmicky to some riders in 2003, but it looks brilliant in 2025. As actual vintage Harleys with Springer forks become unobtainable or require six-figure investments, these modern Springers become the substitute, and they're appreciating accordingly. The Heritage Springer Classic is particularly desirable. Avoid high-mileage examples in bikes with modified front ends. That defeats the entire purpose. The 2030 Anniversary Edition and $20,000 for clean bikes. Number 5, 2016 to 2017. Dyna Low Rider S. This one's already happening. Multiple sources confirm prices are climbing, and they quote aren't getting any cheaper. Current range is $12,000 to $16,000, but that's moving up fast. Here's why. This was the last of the Dyna line before Harley killed it in 2017, and it was the best of the bunch. The Low Rider S wasn't just another Dyna, it was the performance model. Screamin' Eagle 110 engine, blacked out everything, aggressive stance. This was Harley's answer to riders who wanted power over chrome. And it only existed for 2 model years before the entire Dyna platform got absorbed into Softail. The Dyna community is fanatical. Forum evidence shows riders willing to pay close to or above original MSRP for the right bike in perfect condition. The Low Rider S has the strongest following because it delivered what performance Harley guys actually wanted. Finding a stock example is getting harder. Most have been modified, which tanks collector value. By 2028, expect $16,000 to $22,000 for clean examples. This appreciation is already underway. Don't wait. Number 4, 2020 original LiveWire. Here's the gamble. The original Harley-Davidson LiveWire. Before it became a standalone brand in 2021. Current used market shows significant depreciation from new. But that's not the point. The point is historical significance. This is Harley's first electric motorcycle ever made. Low sales equal extreme rarity. They only sold 612 units in 2023, even fewer in 2020. Nobody wanted an electric Harley in 2020. Sales were abysmal, which creates the rarity that collectors need. This is the EV equivalent of the 1903 Model 1. It's not about performance or practicality, it's about being first. And it carries the Harley-Davidson badge, which later LiveWires don't have. Will electric bikes become collectible? Unknown, but quote first electric from major legacy manufacturer is a strong collector story. This is the ultra-long play. Either it becomes a museum piece worth $40,000 plus, or it becomes worthless. No middle ground. High risk, high reward. Look for original Harley-Davidson branded LiveWires, not the later LiveWire branded models. Low miles garage kept. Current range is 12 to 18,000. Projected 2040 value, 5,000 or 50,000. Choose wisely. Number 3, FXR Series, 1982 to 1994. Many enthusiasts consider the FXR the best Harley ever made. That's not hyperbole. It's backed by engineering. Rubber-mounted engine, superior handling compared to other Harleys, Eric Buell's involvement in the design. This was Harley's answer to Japanese sport bikes in the 1980s. Traditional buyers didn't want it because it was too different. Now it's vindicated. Average FXR in decent condition? $10,000. Problem? Finding one in decent condition. Most are customized, high mileage, or beat. Stock examples are rare, which is why prices keep climbing. Forum evidence shows FXR frames are widely sought for drag racing applications, and owners refuse to sell. One forum member stated, quote, "Never sell mine at any price." The Holy Grail, 1999 CVO editions. Harley briefly brought back the FXR as limited CVO models. FXR2, FXR3, FXR4, only 900 of the FXR2 and FXR3 were built. If you find one, expect to pay $15,000 to $20,000 now. By 2030, these could hit $50,000. Look for FXRS or FXRT models, bone stock, under 30,000 miles, no custom work. Current range, 9 to 20,000. Projected 20 to 30 value, 18 to 35,000, with CVOs potentially exceeding 50. Number 2, Dyna Wide Glide and Street Bob and Fat Bob, 2006 to 2017. The entire Dyna platform was discontinued in 2017 when Harley absorbed it into Softail to cut costs. This wasn't about quality, it was about business. And Dyna riders know this. They're not happy about it. They refuse to buy Softails on principle, which creates sustained demand for bikes that aren't being produced anymore. Current values run $5,200 to $15,000 depending on model and year, but forum evidence is striking. Quote, Dyna class has very dedicated following. Quote, willing to pay close to or above MSRP for the right bike. Quote, much higher price on private market than trade-in. This is a tribal community that believes, correctly, that Dynas handle better than Softails. The models that matter, Wide Glide for classic factory chopper looks, Street Bob for stripped blacked out aggression, Fat Bob for dual headlights and muscle. All desirable, all appreciating. The problem? Clean low mileage examples are disappearing. Most have been modified, which decreases collector value. Stock Dynas are becoming rare. Target 2014 to 2017 models, the newest you can get. Under 15,000 miles, no modifications. The Dyna Death Wobble gives it character and scares away casual buyers, which helps you. Current range, 8 to 14,000. Projected 20 to 30 value, 15 to 25,000 for clean examples. Number 1, V-Rod family, 2002 to 2017. Here's why the V-Rod takes the number 1 spot on this list. It represents everything Harley-Davidson isn't supposed to be, which is exactly why younger collectors want it desperately. Porsche designed Revolution engine, liquid-cooled with an actual radiator, performance-oriented geometry, Willie G. Davidson's aggressive styling, and killed unceremoniously in 2017 after 15 years of slow but steady sales that never met corporate expectations. Traditional Harley buyers absolutely hated this motorcycle from day one, which makes it absolutely perfect for long-term appreciation. Traditional Harley buyers rejected it immediately and viciously. It didn't sound like a Harley should sound, Liquid cooling and the overhead cam configuration changed the entire exhaust note character. It didn't look like a Harley. Where was the massive tank, the high riding position, the cruiser silhouette? It required different riding technique with its forward controls and sport bike ergonomics. It was simply too different, too modern, too focused on actual performance rather than image and tradition. But that fundamental difference is precisely why younger collectors want these bikes. Because the V-Rod represents the performance motorcycle, Harley-Davidson should have continued developing and improving. It proves conclusively that when Harley wants to innovate and build genuinely competitive motorcycles, they absolutely can. And there will never be another one like it in the Harley lineup. The company has made it abundantly clear through both words and actions. No more liquid-cooled performance V-twins, no more Porsche engineering partnerships, no more radical departures from the traditional formula. The V-Rod was a one-time experiment that the traditional customer base killed through market rejection. The specific variants that matter most for collectors: V-Rod muscle for its wide rear tire and aggressive muscular styling, Night Rod special for blacked-out performance appeal and street presence, first-generation base models from 2002 to 2007 for historical significance and pioneering status, and anniversary editions for extreme rarity and documentation value. The 2300th anniversary V-Rod represents the absolute holy grail. Highest documented sale price reached $27,750, and clean examples continue climbing. Looking across all 10 motorcycles on this list, the pattern becomes undeniable. Harley-Davidson's best motorcycles were also their biggest commercial failures. The bikes that confused and angered traditional buyers, that didn't fit neatly into the chrome and potatoes formula that's defined Harley's image for decades, that actually pushed boundaries and innovated, those are precisely the models experiencing appreciation in today's collector market. This isn't coincidence or market randomness. It's the predictable result of three factors converging. Discontinuation creates scarcity, passionate cult followings, sustained demand even without corporate support, and limited production numbers prevent the market from getting flooded. Add in a generational demographic shift toward younger collectors who want performance over tradition, and you've got the perfect recipe for value growth. Current market weakness in the broader Harley-Davidson ecosystem creates a genuine buying opportunity for those paying attention. While new bikes sit unsold at dealerships and the company struggles with 17% declines in shipments, these specific discontinued models are quietly appreciating. That disconnect won't last forever. V-Rods and Dynas are already climbing in value. If you're serious about these as investments, you need to buy now before another price jump makes them unaffordable. We're already seeing clean examples command premiums that would have seemed absurd just 3 years ago. FXRS are expensive, but continue moving upward steadily. The market has recognized these bikes, but there's still room for appreciation before they hit true collectible status. XR 1200s and Buells represent the sleeper picks with potentially massive upside if you're willing to wait. These haven't hit mainstream collector consciousness yet, which means prices remain reasonable for patient buyers. The LiveWire is pure speculation, a gamble on whether electric motorcycles achieve collectible status. The Pan America is the conservative play that should avoid the brutal depreciation hitting everything else. Consider the bigger industry picture. Harley-Davidson is facing an existential crisis that extends far beyond simple sales slumps. Their customer base is literally aging out of motorcycling. The average Harley buyer is now in their late 50s. Younger riders aren't replacing them in sufficient numbers. Sales are down 17% year over year. The company is pivoting desperately towards smaller displacement bikes, trying to attract new riders with more affordable entry points, which means the big displacement, high performance, experimental bikes we've covered in this countdown, they're permanently done. No more V-Rods with Porsche-engineered liquid-cooled engines. No more Dynas with performance-oriented chassis dynamics. No more FXRs that proved Harley could build genuinely great handling motorcycles. No more XR 1200s blending sport bike DNA with Harley heritage. That era of production has ended permanently, and the bean counters have made it abundantly clear there's no going back to these experimental platforms. And that permanent discontinuation is exactly why these specific motorcycles are positioned to explode in value over the next decade. The best Harley-Davidson motorcycles were the ones that Harley-Davidson didn't really want to make, the ones that made traditional buyers uncomfortable, the ones that pushed boundaries and took genuine risks. Now they're becoming the bikes that collectors will pay premium prices to own, precisely because they represent roads not taken and possibilities that were permanently abandoned. If you're seriously considering any of these as investments rather than just riding, do your homework thoroughly. Verify all documentation carefully, confirm complete originality with factory specifications, inspect meticulously for any modifications that reduce collector value, check comprehensive maintenance records, and understand that collector markets can experience significant volatility. But if historical patterns hold, and decades of motorcycle collecting precedent strongly suggest they will, these 10 models represent genuine opportunities to acquire future collectibles before the broader market catches on.